the opening of the very first New York City subway in 1904. Elizabeth Robinson, who is featured here, became the first woman in history to win Olympic gold in track and field during the 1928 Olympic Games. That was the first time women could compete in many sports. The cameraman is recording the New Year's celebration in Times Square, New York City, 1946. An elephant used to load supplies onto an American plane. India, 1945. A woman is grasping a soldier as infantry march to the front line in August 1914 in Berlin. An ice delivery man restocks a family's icebox as a woman welcomes him into her home. It's a snapshot of daily life before modern refrigeration. This took place in Knoxville, Tennessee, around 1930. So this is about the Stanford prison experiment. In 1971, Philip Zimbardo, a psychology professor at Stanford University, created a mock prison in the basement of the psychology department building. He wanted to explore the effects of perceived power. He recruited 24 male college students. They were chosen for their psychological stability and health. The students were randomly assigned to be either guards or prisoners. Guards were told they could maintain order, but they couldn't use physical violence. The experiment was supposed to last for 2 weeks. However, it was cut short after only 6 days. The guards became abusive, and the prisoners became passive and showed signs of severe stress. Zimbardo, who was also the experiment's prison superintendent, watched the experiment unfold. He realized he'd become too involved and hadn't stopped the study sooner. The experiment raised serious ethical questions about research and the power of situations to affect behavior. Bruce Lee, 1955. A United States corpsman is carrying an injured child away from the battle in Hue. Fred Pearson and his family stand resiliently amidst the harsh realities of frontier life, embodying the struggles of isolation, scarcity, and survival in early Kansas. Johnson County, Kansas, around 1908. Two little girls are talking with their grandparents in East Germany over a barbed wire fence. That fence became the Berlin Wall in 1961. The people of Warsaw, Poland try to rise up against the German troops and police who entered the ghetto to deport its inhabitants during World War II, 1943. Nazis hung 17-year-old Lepa Radic for being a Yugoslavian partisan during World War II. When they asked her the names of her companions, she replied, "You will know them when they come to avenge me." 1943. A portrait of Mormon polygamists in the Utah Penitentiary, 1889. The liberal leadership in Czechoslovakia tried to ease the tough Soviet restrictions on human rights. Things really heated up when protesters and Soviet forces started fighting, and then the Soviets invaded on August 20th, 1968. Corporal James Gregory on the left and technician 5th grade Omer Taylor of Headquarters Company smoke cigarettes while taking a break. This is an old Halloween photo. It depicts a woman posing in front of a brick building. She's wearing a witch costume. The costume includes a hat, cloak and mask. She's holding a broom. Her pose is a bit stiff. Communists from England were marching in London in 1936. A small girl balances on her mother's hand in Pittsburgh. This was taken in the mid-1900s. The Toronto Maple Leafs and the Chicago Blackhawks players are looking for a contact lens that Jack Evans lost in 1962. At 67 years old, Emma Rowena Gatewood told her adult children she was going out for a walk. What they didn't realise was that her walk would span 2,168 miles and make history. It's the Berlin Wall, 1969. Immigrants at Ellis Island are enjoying their first Christmas dinner in the United States, in New York City in 1920. One of America's youngest newsboys, he's 4 years old. This is from Florida, 1913. A French man is gesturing towards two German soldiers. The picture was taken in 1944. An elementary school class is taking an imaginary trip to the moon in Lincoln, Nebraska, 1966. City residents are trying to drive along a narrow road in Idaho during the winter in 1952. Mum holds her baby with a trash can while she crochets, 1969. Strongman Lionel Strong fought. We are thankful for the leaf, 1900. A group of well-dressed individuals crosses the suspension bridge over Capilano Canyon, showing off early tourism in Vancouver. This was in Canada, 1905. Johnny Eckhart was born without a lower body. At the right age, he began to walk on his hands. Johnny's greatest passion was miniature racing cars made especially for him. Lost London, Chinatown, Limehouse, London, 1927. A Mardi Gras parade in Louisiana around 1890 and 1910. Visiting quarantined family members, Ullevål Hospital in Oslo, 1905. John Grizzly Adams with a bear in 1856. Adams trained and frequently wrestled with grizzly bears. During one bout, a grizzly struck him in the head, dislodging his scalp and leaving him with permanent head trauma. Ski sailing, a new sport invented in Austria, was demonstrated in St. Moritz, Switzerland in January of 1938. Alright, sailors goofing off for the camera around 1941. A circus performer wrestling an alligator inside a tank, Berlin, 1933. In May 1946, Albert Einstein defied the prevailing racial climate at the time to visit and lecture at Lincoln University in Pennsylvania, the first degree-granting black college in the US. A liberated Jew holds a Nazi guard at gunpoint. Victoria Amazonskaya in the Philippines, 1935. They led an elephant through the streets, London, 1937. Thousands of Boeing workers gather in front of Boeing Plant 2 for ceremonies marking the changeover from B-17 to B-29 production on April 10, 1945. The Knickerbocker Theatre disaster in 1922 on January 30th. Henry Ford sold the quadricycle to fund his next project, which marked the start of his journey toward mass-producing cars. This was in Detroit, Michigan, in 1896. A boy and his dog in New Athens, Ohio, sometime between the late 1890s and the early 1900s. Shoppers in the women's coat department of Saks Fifth Avenue department store, 1960. This is about Franz Reichelt in his parachute suit. Miss Alice Reilly, president of the Anti-Flirt Club, Washington, D.C., around 1923. April 1931. A policeman is watching over a group of sheep in the street. They're being moved from Hyde Park to Green Park in London. This soldier would put pictures of his girlfriend on his helmet during the Vietnam War in May of 1968. There are 3 goats on a slide. They are all different colours. One is white, one is brown, and one is black. Grand Duchess Elizaveta Fyodorovna, sister of the last Empress of Russia, around the 1890s. The adorable German actress Greta Reinwald modelled for various postcards like this one when she was a child, around 1910. A spotter was watching out for German air raids during a Charlton Athletic versus Arsenal football match at the Valley London in 1940. In the early 1900s, Sears sold entire mail-order homes that would be shipped via train and put together by whoever bought one. This house cost $5,375. Following the Boston Molasses disaster of 1919, portions of the city's north end lie in ruins. Freddie, a baby chimp, is doing a real job of mixing the Christmas puddings in and out of the mixing bowl in December 1969. The face shows damage caused by the progression of syphilis in people. Halloween costumes were much scarier in the past, 1890s. St. Patrick's Cathedral on a snow day in New York City, 1970s. The opposing team captains, Norm Provan and Arthur Sammons, embrace after the Australian rugby final in 1963. Albert Einstein with an Einstein marionette in 1931. A freak snowstorm leaves passengers stuck in Times Square after a frozen switch brings streetcars to a screeching halt, 1936. A man is showing off a steel cap, some splinter goggles. You see, you get your vision through thin slits in the goggles, and a steel dagger gauntlet. These were all made for the British military during World War I. It's London Zoo, December 1938. Marlon Brando with author James Baldwin at the March on Washington for Jobs and Freedom on August 28, 1963. German soldiers react to footage of concentration camps, 1945. The soldiers, who appear to be of various ranks, are seated in a room. They are viewing film of the concentration camps. Several of the soldiers have their hands covering their faces. Some of the soldiers appear to be in disbelief. Others look away from the screen. A few soldiers are looking directly at the camera. There's a Berlin banker, and he's counting stacks of bundled marks. This was in 1923. If going much further, please take one. Typical Aussie humour is reflected in this sign erected on the El Alamein Road by Australian troops, 14 September 1942. Let's talk about economy class on a commercial plane during the 1960s. The seats were usually arranged with 3 seats on either side of the aisle, though the seating could vary based on the type of aircraft. The seats themselves were typically upholstered in a durable fabric, often in a bold colour or pattern, and they had a modest amount of legroom. The overall feel was functional rather than luxurious. Women paint propaganda posters to support the war effort during World War II. Port Washington, New York, July 8, 1942. The Moskvich G2, an exceptional racing car crafted by I.A., Gladlin and I.I. Okunev, was constructed in 1956. It's London, 1931. Dovima with elephants in an evening dress by Dior at the Cirque d'Hiver in Paris in August 1955. Alright, let's see. We've got a car factory accident in Boston during the 1930s. The first TV set, called Octagon, was made by General Electric in 1928. There's a donkey with a rocket launcher strapped to its back, and this is in Turkey. The year is 1930. On July 16, 1945, 13-year-old Barbara Kent and her friends were playing near Ruidoso, New Mexico, totally unaware of any radioactive fallout from the Trinity atomic bomb test, which was 40 miles away. Alright, the first underwater photograph, circa 1899. (1940), boys are reading a comic book in Liverpool. The Halloween Slick Chick Beauty Contest took place in Anaheim, California in 1947. A starving inmate of Camp Gusen, Austria, in 1945. A British soldier and a kitty, France, World War I. The children look very expressive at the puppet theatre when the bad dragon is killed. This happened in the Tuileries Garden in Paris in 1963. This fan-powered car might have made more of a splash today than in the 1910s, considering the worries about climate change. In 1905, German Carl Ludwig Nessler demonstrated his invention, a hardware perm. Vladimir Lenin at 17 in 1887. This is a play of light and shadow, Walt Disney, 1939. Children are playing in a poor area of East End London with spotless laundry hanging above them as a testament to pride and resilience. London, 1949. During World War II, Walt Disney created a Mickey Mouse gas mask. It was designed to make children feel more comfortable and less frightened while they were wearing it, the 1940s. Driving becomes a team effort after a car gets lodged in almost 7 inches of snow on East 38th Street in 1943. The Willamette meteorite, the largest meteorite that's ever been found in the United States, is at the New York American Museum of Natural History from May 1st, 1939. Paul Newman and Joanne Woodward, 1958. Martin Luther King Jr. with his kids, Yolanda and Martin Luther III in 1964, riding the Ford Magic Skyway attraction that was built by Disney for the New York World's Fair. Shirley Temple celebrated her 8th birthday at 20th Century Fox in 1936. In the middle of the Great Depression, she was the biggest box office star in America. At a chiropractors convention in 1956, there were Miss Perfect Posture Contest winners. Women wearing corsets are playing cards in the wilderness during the 1890s. Lo Man Hung, a young photojournalist of the Vietnam War 1968. Asheville farm schoolboys are posing while loading straw. They're using a steam engine and standing on a steam-driven tractor. This was in North Carolina during the 1890s. Ava Gardner loved animals and had several different pets over the years. Ronald Reagan, who was 29 years old, posing for an art class in 1940. A man is riding along and it's a sight. He's got a dog perched right on his hat and another one tucked inside his jacket. It's a pretty unusual but really charming moment from the 1920s. A child wearing an Indian hat looks out of the coal cellar. There are United States Army men casually seated around a table, and one of them on horseback is jumping over it. This was in 1924. Alright, here's the deal. We're in New York around 1903 and there's this classic sidewalk newsstand. There are 3 Edwardian couples taking what we might call selfies in a mirror. I don't know where this was, but it was around the 1900s. There are 3 boys, one who's 13 years old and 2 who are 14, picking shade-grown tobacco on Hackett Farm. It's the first picking, so they have to sit while they do it. This is in Buckland, Connecticut. A woman in pants is going for a bike ride in 1897.